Good afternoon, Central Mafia. Afternoon, Keith. And it's afternoon for you already, right, Keith?
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. So, welcome everybody for another live stream for the Central Mafia. For those of you who are not familiar, Central Mafia is an MSP community built by MSPs for MSPs. And our goal is to bring MSPs together through education. And that's what we're going to do today. So, how are things going over there in California, Keith?
Always good. Always awesome. I've been paying for my son's vacation, and he's been going a little overboard. But
yeah, we've seen that. You're gonna have to cut him off when he gets back.
I don't know. I've never seen the daddy Amex so abused.
And Aaron, where you at? Your background looks a little bit different.
I'm in Monterey, so I'm also in California, back at the homeland.
Mm-hmm. All right. How long are you there for?
Till the end of the month.
End of the month?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That means you're probably not going to ChannelCon.
No.
Nope. You're going to miss the boat.
Yeah.
Literally, Keith's boat. All right, so we're very excited about today's session. Again, it's going to be educational. We have Kathy and Cassie from Pivotal Crew. We're going to almost like an Ask Me Anything. So if you have any questions and are watching, put those on the chat, and we'll be more than happy to answer those as they come through. So we do have a nice way to stay connected with us. The best way to do that, just go to our website, centralmafiaug.com. In there, you're going to find links for our upcoming meetups. Also, link to our LinkedIn. That's one of the best ways to stay up to date on all of our upcoming live streams, open mics, and our meetups. And also join us on our Facebook page, because we just started that a few months ago. We also have a Facebook group. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask the community, just post them there. So, all right. And we're looking forward to our upcoming meetups. Our next meetup will be in Chicago. We're going back to Burr Ridge on September 17th, with a pre-day on September 16th in the evening. And I just sent out the invite for those. So, watch out, look out in your inbox if you're in the central region. Those just went out, but you can always go to the website and register. And then we'll be in Aaron and Keith's neck of the woods on October 8th. We're going to be in Anaheim. And last time we had a great time with all the vendors and all the partners that join us. And we are making fun plans for that.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited when they all come through. I don't want to kind of tease right now, but you're doing some interesting things.
Yes. Yeah, so we're going to have lots of opportunities for learning, and also for enjoying and have a good time and network. So finalizing that, so keep an eye out for all those things. So, guys, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. Kathy and Cassie. So today with us we have Cassie and Kathy from Pivotal Crew. Hello. I think we need like audio or something when we bring the
like a walk-up song, like a UFC walk-up song.
I always tell people that you should have your entrance song.
Yeah.
You just play that in your head. So that might be one of the requests that we ask. It's like, what is your entrance song? We can just put it in there. You guys go in.
Our poor producer.
Yeah.
I nominate Cassie to come up with our intro song.
I'd have to ask my husband. He does all the playlists.
There you go.
Yeah. Send those to me. We'll use that at the meetup when you girls come up. We'll play that. So before we get started, let's go ahead and do some intros. So let's go ahead and start with Kathy. Kathy, tell us a little bit about yourself and
Sure.
also a little bit about Pivotal Crew.
Yeah, Pivotal Crew is a ConnectWise PSA and CPQ consulting company, and I have lots of integrations that connect into PSA as well. We help our partners use those effectively. So we do improvement projects and M&A projects and all kinds of different things to do with PSA that might be necessary. My background, I've been in IT since, well, it feels like the dawn of time. So always in some form of IT service improvement and that kind of thing. So transitioned over to PSA consulting probably about 15 years ago at this point. So I've been doing it a long time, had a lot of partners that we've worked with. And Cassie and I started Pivotal Crew coming up on 3 years almost, nearly 3 years ago. Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
that's about me.
Well, you can't see.
I understand that long time in IT. I've been doing it since computers were on the side of caves. So
Yeah, very similar. I tell people like what my first computer looked like, and they're like, "Oh, you're that old." Okay.
The dual floppies, so you can like boot from one and read from the other one. That's fine. That's how bad
Didn't,
far.
didn't
Hammer and
everyone
chisel.
have that? Come on.
hammer and chisel one.
All right.
Yes. So I'm Cassie. So I started in the industry maybe I think like 12 years ago now. I worked at an MSP, and I was just like hired on as a help desk assistant, just answering phones and putting in tickets. And then I just kind of worked my way up to being an operations manager. So I've worked at two different MSPs, one that was pretty big, one that was a little bit smaller. But at my first MSP, we did like a tire pod to ConnectWise migration, and that was when I first started like really liking the setup and figuring out how to do different things, and really enjoyed that part of my job, is doing the ConnectWise administration and people coming to me with like different problems and helping them come up with processes to solve them. So I've been consulting I think 6 years now. But mostly, my expertise is around like the service area. So I'm usually working with service teams, helping them dial in like their service boards and statuses and workflows and project module, those sort of things.
Great. So obviously, you girls touch a lot of ConnectWise and people's environments, and you bring your expertise right from working in the industry and with MSPs. Let's start there. Like, how does that look when you first get engaged with a client? Why do they come to you, and what are some things that you've seen and you're able to improve?
Would you like to go, Cassie?
Sure. Yes, I mean, a few different reasons why people come to us, but mainly it's because they just maybe didn't have a good implementation done. And so they don't really have like a subject matter expert in-house, or maybe they had one and they left. And so, they're just looking for someone to help, improve their processes, make things more efficient. They probably don't have they can't trust their reporting because they know that the data that's going in isn't being done correctly. So we'll start with an assessment. So we offer free assessments. So we'll, take a look at someone's system and, get an idea of like how things are set up. If they have, too many agreement types, that can tell us one thing, that there's usually room for consolidation in a lot of different areas. We want to streamline things, make it not like a super complex system, so that they're easy to follow processes that can be, maintained and repeated, and make it easier to train new people as they come on, is kind of what, our goal is to achieve with these types of projects.
I find this
for sure
awfully timely, with ConnectWise dramatically changing its interface to Easy, or whatever they're going to call it now. And I find it interesting that most MSPs, while we provide support for other people's systems, we kind of suck at our own. And I admit, as being one of those, it's just like, I don't know, you just don't want to spend time with it. It just gets huge and overloaded, and then you never really make full use of it. Is that something you see very common? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just speaking with someone yesterday about that same concept is, MSPs are great at telling their clients, you need to renew your infrastructure every X number of years, or things are coming off support, or, new features that you should be taking advantage of, or new security posture that you need to be taking. And when it comes to our own applications, a lot of times we're technical, so we should be able to figure this out. So we're just going to do it ourselves. And then you have everybody's an admin, and everybody reads the instructions on the university a different way, and they set things up. People change over time, and so you end up with this mishmash of workflows and automation, or lack of those things, that people found ways of doing things to make it work for what they were trying to accomplish without looking at it from the overall perspective. So we find that a lot. People come to us with, as Cassie mentioned, our admin just left, and now nobody knows what to do to undo this mess of stuff that they had created that worked great for them, and they were able to figure out the problems. But now that they're gone, we don't know where to start. So undoing that complexity that we can sometimes get into is super important. But yeah, I find definitely that MSPs are less likely to take their own advice that they give their clients, and look at their own applications and say, we really need somebody who knows this application really well. And it's great. Some people come to us and say, hey, I know my business really well, and that's excellent, and that's what's going to help us give the best advice for how the system needs to be set up to work best for your way that you want to manage your business. But knowing your business is not the only thing that is important to figure out the application. You've got to understand and all the different ways we can use the functions and features of ConnectWise to make this work as best as possible for your business use cases, right? So yeah, we see that a lot.
Yeah, I also see where we get tempted to either change our PSA or just buy more tools. And
Sure.
then you find out you're talking to someone that understands ConnectWise and says, that bolt-on you just bought, you could do that inside with what you already own.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I find a lot of people are trying to solve their problems by, I need to throw this whole thing out and start over with something else. There's great tools out in the marketplace, absolutely. But the newer tools don't have the depth of financial management that I've seen in any of them as of yet, to be able to do the kinds of things you can do in ConnectWise if you set up your system correctly. And if you're not doing things correctly in ConnectWise right now, if your current PSA is not set up in the best way possible for you to do the business the way you need to, then it's difficult to come to somebody and say, well, it doesn't work for us, so we're going to move to something else. You're taking your not optimized processes and you're saying, let's go look at that other application. Let's go put those in that other application. So now you're learning a new application, and you've already got processes that weren't optimized. We don't know what's missing because we haven't set it up correctly to start with. So we find that a lot. I know I do when I talk to prospects and stuff like that. Yeah, they're
By the way,
considering moving, and they need
Karen, I
to.
just want you
Yeah.
to know, I may hog this whole show because this is something that I know my company is very weak in. And we've talked about for a long time about, it's amazing we develop a system that dispatches all the longshoremen on the West Coast and can't manage our PSA, but we can't. and maybe it's because it doesn't scale well. I mean, you're learning for your whole population of clients. And for me to take my developer off billable hours, to have him go study ConnectWise University and go back and forth with support and go to a whole lot of webinars and learn all the changes would just take a lot of money off the table for me.
Sure.
And I'm sure that's true for other MSPs. I'm wondering, do you also kind of work with our accountants, or if we hired like someone that does our bookkeeping, who does the QuickBooks integration part, so that you guys are really in sync and everything moving back and forth between those?
Yeah, absolutely. And QuickBooks obviously is the most common, or some version of QuickBooks is the most common thing we come across. But there are other ones. Yeah, there are other ones out there. We get a lot of people talking to us about eAutomate, which is kind of it's popped up more often in the last, I don't know, 6 months, I think. Yeah, NetSuite seems to be becoming more popular. So there's a lot of different ones that we get involved with. But yes, we do. I do consulting on the finance and sales sales side. And so I spend a lot of time at the beginning of our projects talking about how does this need to financially report at the end. And I have a standard chart of accounts that I recommend for partners to look at and potentially implement. So we do all that work up front because it has a big impact on how the structure of ConnectWise is created. So we talk about that at the beginning. And then if we need to change those things, or if there's anything that isn't optimized in terms of how the GL mappings are set up, the best way possible to get the right data in the right buckets in your accounting package, whatever that accounting package may be, I can work closely with the finance team or the accounting team or whoever is involved with that business to solve those problems and create the structure that we need to be able to do that. So that is a big focus of the beginning of part of our project for sure.
That is so because you use R&D credits and you want to throughout the year plan your budgeting and your cars and all those things before it's late in the year and you're scrambling to get your tax breaks. So having those things in sync is it's kind of important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and I just familiar with service leadership, chart of accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something?
Sorry, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Oh, is that something you've ever run across? Is the service leadership chart of accounts prescription? I guess I would say.
Yeah, that's a good word for it, actually. We work a lot with a lot of partners that are involved and other peer groups, and so streamlining the chart of accounts with that in mind is important for a lot of our partners. So we work on the chart of accounts side of it. Then we also look at potential breakage reporting to help make the process of submitting your SLI stuff every quarter easier, more at your fingertips. And so we have a lot of partners, that are part of those groups and set those up with that in mind.
Yeah, it's also good if you're going to go, maybe even go to sell, if you're in that, if you're like, it's the same business, but it is a different process when you go to market, when you have your chart of accounts and you've been doing it for a few years rather than now I have to translate your terrible out of the box QuickBooks chart of accounts into something that goes into a sim. Yeah,
absolutely. I have several partners right now that are working with that in mind. Like I've got a 5-year, 10-year plan that I want to be able to get this ready to sell. So I want to set up ConnectWise and operate like that for several years, set up ConnectWise in my chart of accounts and all those things, to be able to show the best value or the best true picture of the value of the business for when it does come time to do that. So we work through those particular issues, and our chart of accounts, even if someone is not part of reporting to SLI, our chart of accounts is very much set up to be super logical in terms of identifying here's my revenue for this and here's my cost for that, and it makes it really easy to show the value of a particular part of your mix, if you will, whether that's and organizing that into one-time things and recurring things and being able to differentiate those, because that gets a different multiplier in a lot of cases. So anyway, so it's all built based on showing the best value. It's not just about selling your business. It's also if you're going for
lending,
funding or something like that, it also gives the best view for them to make their assessment of what your business is worth. So, or if you're trying to bring in a partner, or if you're trying to, it's super helpful. So I think it is really important to keep that in mind and structure your P&L in a really logical way to run your business, whether you have that on your agenda in the near future or not, for sure.
So one of the other complaints I always hear, or maybe just in my company, is noise. So out of the box, ConnectWise is too noisy, and then all of a sudden people say, don't give me anything because you gave me too much. So like your techs don't want to get every alert every time someone touches a ticket. So now they ignore everything from your PSA. Your customers say, I open a ticket and you send me like 5 emails, like when you assigned it. Is that something you work through, is like kind of cut the noise and then also make, I don't like to insult ConnectWise because my son works there, but out of the box, some of it's kind of ugly and it's not consistent, so that you make the ticket responses look very professional, very branded, very marketing, aligned with your billing invoices, kind of just pretty it up. I know those were 2 questions, but.
I mean, that's something I usually work with clients on, is like trying to cut down the like the automated notifications to internal and to contacts, because a lot of times I'll see that they just want to like communicate every little update to the customer by a status notification. The ticket's been assigned, the ticket's in progress now, we're waiting on you, so I'm going to send you an automated email, but I'm also going to email you the information I need. So I try to like talk to clients, and we I pretty much just knew you've got a new notification, here's your ticket number, we've closed your ticket. And then I also like to do like waiting on client reminders, but that's kind of it for automated notifications. When you start working on the ticket, you need to reach out and let the client know, because if you keep sending them a bunch of automated emails, they're just going to ignore them. So that's kind of my stance on that. And when it comes to making the emails pretty, I mean, I'm not like, we're not HTML designers, but I can throw something into Claude and come up with an HTML template. But I just use the built-in tokens personally, the formatted tokens, and those look pretty nice. But yeah, that's another thing we look at, because sometimes I'll go in and it's like broken logos, like the link for the logo is broken and nobody noticed that the client's getting an email and the logo, it doesn't even work.
Yeah, I think it also makes it a lot harder when you have all these different notifications or workflows for standardization as well, right? And Kathy, you mentioned like when first you go do your implementations and maybe it didn't go well, or just like out of the box, and going through different admins, everybody starts making all these different changes, and all of a sudden like you have a lot of information, all over the place, and you just lose control of that, over the years. Have you run into situations like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's one client that I'm working with that they have, I think 100 service boards, not even joking. And every board like has its own set of statuses. So we've been working, I don't know, it feels like a year. I don't know if it's been that long. But just trying to like standardize, like we're having to like peel back the onion, right? Of like, we have to find everything that was set up so we understand like why, what was your process, what was your thinking, what problem were you trying to solve by creating a status for that and a workflow, when like, okay, that there's a totally different way, much easier way to do that. Let's do this instead. And so I try to get like the standardization across all teams, all boards. We're all using the same terminology, the same statuses. Not that like every board's exactly the same, but we're all using the same master list, so to speak. Because I think I was looking at this client today. I think they have like 1,500 unique ticket statuses across the system. And if you can imagine like trying to do a report and you're trying to filter and you're like, okay, let me get all the closed statuses, and there's like 60 different closed statuses to choose from, just as an example, it like becomes much harder to get any kind of consistent reporting.
Or mapping to integrations even, right? Because those are separate, like database. Yeah.
It makes everything so much harder.
Yeah. I mean, that's really a lot.
Yeah. Well, that comes a lot. I think, I don't know if the client you're speaking of, Cassie, is one that has had this, but that happens a lot for partners who have acquired companies. And when they migrated them, they thought, oh, well, we'll just migrate them in and let them run their own way. And there's a recent partner that I've looked in their system, and they've got like a lot of service boards, maybe not that many, a lot of agreement types, but everybody has their own process. And so now they're trying to streamline and trying to take advantage of groups of people that are going to do the administrative part of it, but nothing is the same. They're not following similar processes. So there's really a lot of work to do to unravel all of that stuff and try to make a consistent, cohesive thing that you can report on, that you can operate in, that you can, answer questions about if a customer asks. Like, just think about trying to find the answer to a question if you happen to be on a call with someone and they say, oh, I've also got this ticket with this other group, and you're like, I don't know what status it's in because there's 12 of them, and you can't really answer that question effectively. So M&A is something that leads to a lot of a mess on a lot of people's systems because of I feel like it's kind of like the original question. I forget who asked me, Keith, maybe, that was, I should know how to do this because I'm technical and I should be able to run my own system. And so, yeah, you can come in and you can operate your own way and that'll be fine. And then later on, we realize we really can't do that, or we shouldn't do that, right? We can't take advantage of consistency if we do that. So that's a common project that we get involved in, is helping to unravel all the stuff related to previous acquisitions, and then prep that partner for the next ones. And how are you going to do your migrations differently now that we know all these things, and now that we've made your system work for you now, in that kind of project. Yeah.
If you work with the customer portal, I mean, ConnectWise has changed that so many times over the period that it'd be a nice thing to have set up correctly, because I think it could cut down on noise and give your customers some sense of control over what's going on, or especially when you do a lot of projects in development. But it just has something we've kind of kept kicking to the side because they kept changing how it's going to be operated and formatted.
Yeah, the new customer portal, they've it's come a long way since like it first came out, but yeah, they've I don't want to say like surprisingly, but surprisingly have been like adding new features into it. You know, every time I go in and I'm like, oh, that's new. I don't remember seeing that last time. So I think like, you know, like the forms now you can do like dynamic questions. Trying to think about what other features. I think they have like the CPQ integration now, I think. or no, it's not CPQ. They do it opportunities. So you can see your opportunities in there. But yeah, we do help partners get that set up.
And back to Kathy, you were mentioning like having your data in the right buckets, not only from a GL perspective, but Aaron, you mentioned integrations, right? So as you're integrating new products into your system, a lot of times, you have to make some changes inside of ConnectWise statuses, create integration accounts and all that. How can that get messy also, like over time? What have you seen in there with all of these different products that can integrate?
Sorry, Cassie, were you going to jump in?
Oh, yeah, I could take that one. Yeah, I mean, I see that a lot. Like, for like one example, I know that the like when you sync to the ConnectWise RMM, like they have their own set of statuses, and it irks me because I want you to just be able to map them. Like I want to have my own statuses, and there's a mapping that we could do, right? Instead of just I have to take whatever you tell me. So there are some like that, but I usually just try to fit them in nicely, so we still we don't have like two closed statuses because one has the little icon or the little character next to it and the other one doesn't. So I just try to mash them when I can. But a lot of integrations, there is that mapping ability, so you don't have to necessarily use the ones that they have. So I usually try to push partners to explore their integration a little bit more, and see what we can get out of the integration's capabilities rather than just kind of pushing in whatever their default stuff is.
Right. Yeah. And I always find we do part of what we do during an improvement project or an overall kind of optimization is review how users are set up, of course, and of course API users. There's plenty of times where we find stray API members that were set up and never inactivated or never deleted when the integration was no longer being used. So that is quite common actually that we come across, and even finding out that somebody, this was a new one recently, a customer of one of our partners had access through Streamline IT, and they connected Claude to their on-premise ConnectWise without anyone telling them. So literally the partner had no idea until the client happened to mention it in conversation. So stuff like that, where you find API or end users like us who have logged into the system and saw that little API tab on the user setup and said, oh, I can add my own thing in here, and they go ahead and do that, and you have no clue. So so we work with partners on that kind of stuff all the time, and you know, recommend that they remove people's abilities to add API keys to their own member setup. If you haven't done that yet, go do that, to anybody who's listening. And just to prevent that, you know, somebody's able to add something and you don't even know about it. So I think controls around your API keys is important. I think review once every 3 months, once a quarter, do an overall review of your API keys and make sure you're still using those tools. I've had a couple of partners who found out they were using two different APIs for the same thing, and so they've saved money by doing this review every once in a while. So periodically looking at what you've given access to your system is important for a lot of reasons, but also just taking advantage of the functions that are available in ConnectWise and making sure that you're not duplicating something, right, that you could do in the system.
Yeah, another thing that becomes a mess, at least for us, becomes the product catalog, especially if you let your techs or your sell one-offs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've got like 85 keyboard. I mean, just dumb things, right? And is there a way to clean that up and manage it so it's not so big?
Right. So there's two things that I typically see when it comes to the product catalog. One is that we've over time allowed people to stream of consciousness create categories and subcategories for products, because this is slightly different, or this is more, this is a thing and I want to be able to search for this thing, and so I need a subcategory for that. There's lots of different reasons why it ends up this way, but you have way more subcategories and categories than you need. So a lot of times we start with looking at the chart of accounts, because if I don't need to separate out that thing as a separate bucket in my P&L, I don't need to have a separate subcategory for it in ConnectWise, because no salesperson is looking by category or subcategory. They're just searching for keywords in the product catalog for that workstation or that whatever. So I think that's a common thing that I come across. And obviously having too many products, I think the biggest one I've ever seen was just a few weeks ago. I logged into someone's system and they had 39,000 products in their product catalog. And how does that happen, right? How does that happen? It happens because people create the same product that already exists, but they don't know the keywords. They're thinking of it differently. So they go, oh, well, I need it to say this. And so I create it. I didn't look for the other thing. I just created what I needed. Or they've acquired other companies. And then instead of looking at the product catalog and doing a mapping of what they have versus what exists already, they just import whole hog into the system, and you end up with 40,000 products. So that's a big cleanup job to do. In the old days, which was 6 months ago, I guess, you would have to identify the products that can be inactivated, which we have a report that shows when the last time something was used on an invoice. So that's great. But you can't see that in the UI. So you got to go in, you got to pick and inactivate. And there's tools we can use in the API now that Cassie has developed, actually, which is great. That will allow us to do that kind of behind the scenes. So there's a lot of things that are able to be done through API now that were not available to be done previously. So that's good. But keeping your product catalog under control is a concerted effort. You need to have a process around it. You need to train people to understand what all the fields mean and how important they are to how things work through ConnectWise and go to your accounting package. And then somebody has to be in charge. Who owns the product catalog? Somebody needs to own it. And that person needs to be looking at that product catalog weekly, because products get created by salespeople and technical people. And any product that was created last week, I need to look at that and make sure it's in the right category and subcategory. It's got the right type and the right class. Those are the three main ones that are the most important. But you have to have a process around that, and you have to have somebody who's responsible for it. And then your problems that end up on invoices are fewer, because we fixed the problem before it is likely to have ended up on an invoice. So the product catalog cleanup is a drum I beat with every partner, for sure.
Yeah, we just went through that. When you said like 40,000, I had to look at mine because I thought we're 11,000.
It wasn't yours. It wasn't yours. I can't log into yours.
Yeah, we're 11,000. I just checked, so I was like, okay, I don't know if that's good or bad. But then it just answered the question, because it prompted me that you you also provide assistance with CPQ, and when you have items that get added to the quote, when it gets completed, those items get added into the product catalog. And it sounds, and makes me feel good because it seems like we have the right approach. It's so you need to have ownership of it, and
absolutely
we call it the gatekeeper. You're right.
For sure.
Yeah, and
it also it's important to have a good solid. I'm assuming that's my network that's cutting out right now. Is that? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Thunder. Still getting thunder.
Yeah. It's we're almost sunny again, so now the power will go out because it's sunny. So yeah. Hopefully you can hear me. Quote to cash is also important for that for many reasons, but also for keeping control of the product catalog. But the quote to cash process is what allows us to hand off from sales to finance, because someone with a finance hat on those are the people in the business that understand the way the product needs to be set up, or the way the project needs to be set up, or the way the agreement needs to be set up, so that it follows all the things that needs to happen in ConnectWise, and it goes to the right place in the accounting package, right? They're the ones that know all that stuff. So it's important that, we have a good process around that and people follow it. So to hand this off, because a lot of problems can be found there. I get people all the time that say, I've got this opportunity that was won and it's got the wrong products on it. But we're already down the path and we've invoiced it and we've done all these things, but it's not going to the right place. And so we unravel those problems all the time, but keeping a solid product catalog management process and a really nailed down quote to cash process in ConnectWise is very important for that.
And besides the product that where you manage that's only part of your inventory. I think the other part of your inventory, it's your text and time, all those things that get billable in there, and making sure that everything gets entered in the proper way. I think across MSPs, that's typically the joke and the complaint. People entering time and things not getting billed, or billed the wrong way, billed the wrong agreements. All that. And I think it's both part of not only the, making sure that your system is set up, but it's also a culture thing, right? And make sure that everybody is trained the right way. So,
if you remember, many years ago, Arnie was going to develop time entry completely within Outlook, where you would have tags that responded in Outlook, so your text wouldn't have to use multiple systems. Then he was going to make ConnectWise's interface replace Outlook. Neither of those occurred over time because of but
it's funny you mentioned that, Keith, because I just built an Outlook plugin that does that.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
Hey. There you go.
Clients, most of your techs out in the field, you don't want them, opening up a notebook to start entering time. And they really need something that's really effective and efficient on their phone, because you really want them focused on your customers when they're out on the customer side. At least that's my opinion, right? You want them offering that Disney Nordstrom level service, and really paying attention and listening and giving people the level of service that they pay for. So for me, that's always been an obstacle. It's like completing tickets is not conducive to delivering great service. So then you're expecting them to drive off, go home, go back to the office, go to Starbucks, and then start entering everything they did, and they go like, "I'm done for the day. I'll do it tomorrow." And I think the can gets kicked.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people that have developed tools for that. I think the one I'm thinking of is Sift, where it's just like a voice to text AI thing. And so for on-site engineers, they just go and say okay, I was on XYZ, here's what we did, blah, blah, blah. And then it just creates the notes and adds it to the ticket for them. So people are developing pretty cool solutions to that problem. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's important for your business to know at least how much time was spent, on each of those clients, and knowing that the agreement is profitable or that project was profitable. So I think it's an important thing to make sure it gets completed every day. And that's like the culture comment, there has to be accountability, and someone has to be reviewing the timesheets to make sure that the time was entered and submitted and it's correct for billing, because you need to bill that time, and you want the invoice to be correct. So there definitely has to be a culture around, we have to do time entry. It needs to be in, by the end of the day. And I do believe it's a very important.
Yeah, we still preach
it's a necessary evil, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've been playing with
time all the time.
We've fought a lot for note taking, and we've been playing with as a way to start importing all those notes directly to the ticket.
Yeah.
Aaron, didn't you develop something that people can call in and do their time? Was that you?
No, no, that was more for customers to call in and pull up tickets with an AI agent and add updates, create new tickets, or close tickets through an automated phone AI agent. So it interfaced with the PSA, but it was not for text. It was for clients.
Okay. I did talk to a partner. I think they were trying to do something, trying to address that, where they can just call in and then do their updates. If they're driving back.
Conceivably, you could do the same thing. It's almost the same wiring. It's just you would do it for a tech instead of a client.
Yeah. So, people are getting pretty smart out there, and then coming up with all these solutions and plugins with the use of the APIs, right? Like Cassie said.
For sure. But I think that tool that Cassie mentioned, Sift, it does that exactly what we're talking about, where you can talk to it and update your tickets.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Well, they like it too, and it's very expensive.
And now you're talking about entering, the time on tickets and tracking that. One of the things that I remember we struggled with when we first started was, like tickets and activities. Like when to use which one, and putting time against activities and tickets. So for those MSPs that are out there and might be struggling with that same concept, what is your advice there? And like, what do you like, what activities should be used for, what tickets used for, and how do they impact, the whole flow inside the system?
Yeah, I think the only place I would really use activities is probably to track like the next step of an opportunity. Because if you start to use activities for assigning people like to-do items, those tend to get lost, and they're not easy. There's not like the service board for service tickets, right? You can see a list of all the open tickets. You can't see a list of all the open activities across everybody. It's a per person thing, and then it kind of just defaults to everything for this week. So it's very, very easy to miss things if they're just an activity. So definitely would see like tickets being used for pretty much everything, where activity I would only use it on opportunities.
And also for historical tracking, for KPI measurement purposes. So
yeah, I do like to use them a lot for like, let's say you want to track how many escalations are occurring, for each technician, or how many, go from level 1 to 2, from 2 to 3. So I'll use like workflow rules, and we'll say like, okay, if the status needs escalation and it's on tier 1, let's create an activity that ticket was, escalated from tier 1 to tier 2, and this is the technician that requested it. So now in BrightGauge, I can make a report of here's how many escalations happened this month, here's who's requesting the most escalations, So I'll use it a lot for like being able to kind of report on the audit trail of the ticket without accessing the audit trail.
Cool. So we cover a lot of things in here. Keeping your data clean, making sure that you got your right GL mappings, all the different integrations, permissions, auditing. So how it's if somebody's out there feeling like I have a lot of these things going on, what is the best way to get in contact with Pivotal Crew and maybe get started?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can go to our website, and there's a contact form there. You can email us at info at pivotalcrew.com, or like I say, fill out that form on there. And as Cassie mentioned earlier, we can do an assessment, no charge, before you decide you want to move forward. But you can, we can set up a time and get on a call and understand what your pain points are, and talk about how we might be able to fix them.
Great. Anything else, Keith or Aaron?
No, it just seems like if you built those efficiencies in there, just for your techs alone, anything you charge would be well covered. I mean, just from when you have, I don't think anyone has techs that have a single billing rate. We do multiple tasks, and it's per contract and per agreement or per project. And just having someone that has to go review all those timesheets and correct that stuff.
Sure.
Or even your techs don't even know what's billable and not billable half the time.
Right.
Well, and by the back end.
Yeah, and ideally we wouldn't want them to have to know that very often, right? Like, so really, we should make it as streamlined as possible. And sometimes this means you got to reconsider the way that you're positioning your offerings to clients. And sometimes that means, the owner, if the owner is the sales guy, then sometimes that person has to stop saying yes to everything, because we'll figure it out. So it's important to get consistent, because that'll allow us to get consistent in the way we can set up the system to set things correctly without someone having to touch it, right? To do things in the most automated way possible to accomplish those goals. But a lot of what we do will result in things taking less time to get to an invoice, the invoices being more correct, and things that were not getting billed before getting billed. So it has a material impact that's difficult to track sometimes, but because you don't know what you're not billing until we find all the stuff that you're not billing. So it's hard to kind of put a number on that. But it definitely has an impact on all of those things, which can have an impact on your revenue and your efficiency in terms of what it costs you to get that revenue. Working on all these areas that we've talked about, all the different things, all the different pieces that touch everything, can have a massive impact on those things for sure.
Yeah, and ever since I joined Central Mafia, they taught me that this is a profit business and revenue is important. So
yeah, I agree. I concur with that.
So you girls are going to be over in Chicago coming up?
We are. We will be in Chicago. Happy to meet up with everyone there. And we've got a presentation we're doing as well. So we are looking forward to seeing everyone. Yeah,
I'm excited to have a Chicago dog again. Those are
I don't think I had one of those last time we were in Chicago, so I'll have to have one too.
No, we're going to have to adjust the menu.
Last time the first time I went to a meeting in Chicago, CompTIA or GTIA, I always, when people change their names, I still call it Kinko's, but they took us out to a really nice dinner the last night, which was really really good. And it's
great.
Yes, we did. So if for those partners out there, if you want to have a deeper conversation with Kathy and Cassie, just join us over at the meetup, and you'll be able to do that. I know that you always bring good content, best practices for MSPs, how to have all that ready inside of ConnectWise. So we're really looking forward to sharing that with the community.
Great. Awesome.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoy this conversation.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. And we'll see everybody here in a couple of weeks. Don't forget that we have open mic next week. And then the following week, we have our live stream with FlexPoint. So hope to see everybody there and also at our meetup. So thank you, everybody. Keith.
Great.
Aaron.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.